Hello everyone. I am translating the Shal Kavanot, Gates of Meditation by the Arizal, Rabbi Isaac Luria, and I will be talking about the 3 weeks, which is called the Ben HaMetzarim, between the two narrow parts. Some people say it's between the straits, it's very narrow parts. So we're going to explain what does this mean and what are you supposed to be doing during these 3 weeks according to the Ari. Jian Ben HaMetzarim, the idea of Ben HaMetzarim, the 3 weeks. V'hem kaf alef yamim, there are 21 days. Sheben Yudzayin leTammuz, from Yudzayin leTammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, ad Tisha B'Av, until the 9th day of Av. Minhag tov v'kasher hu me'od l'chol ba'al nefesh. There's a very good custom for every living person. Lashevet ba'avelut, to sit in mourning. Achal chatzi hayom, after half the day, which is around 12:30, I think. B'chol elu hayamim, in all of these days, these 21 days. Ulifkod b'chiyah mamash, and to have real sorrow, al chuban habayit, on the destruction of the Bet Mikdash. V'tam hayud zeh achal chatzot hayom hu, and the reason for having this after half the day, why do we have it at a certain time after chatzot hayom, which is noon? Ki az hu hitoharut hadinim, because that is when the judgment awakens. Besod ki natut tzlolei arev, which is basically the twilight zone. So what does it mean, the twilight zone? It's right before the darkness comes in. So it's talking about asher l'siba zu nisraf ha'echal echal chatzi yom, and that's why the hechal, the Bet Mikdash, was destroyed after noon. V'dvar zeh oseh to'alet gdola b'nefesh adam, and this thing, mourning after noontime for the Bet Mikdash and for the destruction of the Bet Mikdash, and mourning that we don't have a Bet Mikdash, it's something that's very big or has a big impact on our souls and on ourselves as people. V'inyan chatzot halayla, the idea of the midnight. So what does it mean, midnight? Ein tzorich laskiro, we don't have to remind, ki afilu b'chol shar leilot, because every other night tzorich leitabel al choban, we have to mourn over the Bet Mikdash. Mikol sheken b'leilot Ben HaMetzarim, and even more so during the times of the Ben HaMetzarim, which is during the 3 weeks. Shetzorich laosif b'bchiyah, you have to add a certain sorrow. You have to add a certain sorrow for the destruction of the Bet Mikdash. We have to feel this sorrow so that we can hopefully bring it soon again. V'alav ne'emar, and this is what it says: Simchu et Yerushalayim, make Yerushalayim happy, or be happy because of Yerushalayim. Chulu kol hamitablim aliyah, all the people who are mourning for her. Gam tzarich lizaher uleamna, and so you also have to be careful during these times, these 3 weeks, and to stay away from melechol b'yamim ahem shum pri chadash, any new fruits. Why can't we eat any new fruits? Why can't we do this? V'shelo lilvosh shum lavush chadash, and also not to wear any new clothes. So why can't we do anything new? It seems kind of odd. So we don't say Birchat Shechianu. This is found in certain books by the poskim, the people who make the halachot, the laws. And this is a minhag that people have for Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh Av. And so it seems like we also do it sometimes. Many people have a minhag custom to do this during the Omer, not to say Shechianu, and it's to show sort of the sorrow and that we don't want to renew something when we're in the middle of mourning. So we want to mourn the Bet Mikdash, the holy temple. I'm sorry if I didn't translate the holy temple. So now the Ari is going to give us the certain kavanot, meditations that we use during the Shmona Esrei, at the Amidah, during the prayers. And it's going to involve a little bit more of the kavanot, the practical kavanot that we are supposed to think about. B'chol hayamim ahem, and all these days, so this is what we're supposed to think about. Hinei b'brachat avot. So the first bracha, we say, Baruch atah Hashem Magen Avraham. That's the first bracha of the Amidah, of the Shmona Esrei. It's one of the highest points of the tefillah, of the prayer. It's when we become like angels. We put our feet together, we don't move, and we become on an elevated level. So during this prayer, there are certain blessings that we make. So he says during the first blessing, it's called Birkat Avot, because it blesses Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, the three patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so in that first bracha, Be'ota Havaya Harishona, in the first Havaya, in the first Hashem's name, what are you supposed to think about during these 3 weeks? Tekaven, you should meditate, Sheta'il Zo Havaya, this Yudke Vavke should shine El Tmurata to its counterpart, Hayotzet Bechiluf Otiot Shelafanea. It should shine through the letters that are before it. What does that mean? What does that mean before it? So if you take Yud of Yud Kevavke, and you take it, let's say, in the Aleph Bet, in the alphabet of the Hebrew language, when you take Yud, the letter before it is Tet. So when you have Tet, now you think about Hey. Okay, so the next letter after Yud is Hey in Yud Kevavke. So the letter before Hey in the alphabet is Dalid. So now we go one by one. Tet, Dalid, Hey, Dalid. So now Tet, Dalid, Hey, Dalid is the first name that you have to focus on. We're going to explain later what it means. In the next bracha, we're going to meditate on making this Yud Kevavke shine through. Meditate the letters that come after Yud Kevavke. So you take each letter of Yud Kevavke and where in the alphabet those letters, where they are, and you take the one that comes after it. So after Yud Kevavke, those letters you find Kav Vav Zayin Vav. So that's the second name. First we have Ted Dalet Hey Dalet and Kav Vav Zayin Vav. Vaya Shlishi Sheba Ata Kadosh, in the third Yud Kevavke, which is Ata Kadosh, Tekaven Shte'il Zo Havaya El Tmuata, you meditate on the Yud Kevavke shining through, but Aleph Bet the Atbash, you meditate on its counterpart in Atbash. Atbash is a certain code and way that we look at the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, where the first letter becomes the last letter, the second letter becomes the second to last, and it sort of moves inward. So let's say we have Yud of Yud Kevavke. Yud would become Mem. Hey would become Tzadi. So once we work like that, we have Mem Tzadi, Pei Tzadi. So that's the third name. So now we have Ted Dalet Hey Dalet, Kav Vav Zayin Vav, and Mem Tzadi Pei Tzadi. These three names add up, Arizal says, B'nei Gimel Shemot HaNizkarim, Ted Dalet Hey Dalet v'Kav Vav Zayin Vav u'Matzpaz, Hem begematria Shin im HaKolel, Shin Yud Nun, which is 360, with the kolel, with everything together. So this is the first aspect that we're looking at. We're looking at these three names that we're collecting as we get closer to what we're focusing on during the 3 weeks. In the bracha of Retzeh, this blessing is right before we do Modim, which is where we bow and totally prostrate ourselves to thank Hashem, to thank the Creator. Birkat Retzeh, in the blessing of Retzeh, Tekaven Kimilat Retzeh, the word Retzeh, when you look at Retzeh, which literally means to want, Hi begematria Elokim demilui hehin. It's also the gematria, it's the numerical value of the name of Hashem, which is Elokim. It's another aspect of the Creator, which is Elokim. Demilui hehin, in the milui of hehin. So what does that mean? That means we take Elokim, the name Elokim, Aleph Lamed, A and Yud and Mem, and we sort of break it apart. We break it down. Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei. Then we have Lamed, which is Lamed Mem Dalid. We have Hey, which is he tells us that it's Heihin, so it's Hey and a Hey. Then it's Yud Vav Dalid, and Mem Mem. So Mem is Mem and Mem. So once we take that gematria, that's the gematria of Retzeh. Ki Retzeh hem otiot tzara. So this word Retzeh can also, if you flip around the letters, you have Tzadi Resh Hey, which is tzara, which means tzara, pain or problem, something that's not working in your life. All of these things are called tzarot. It's the negativity of your life, tzara. V'hu sod ve'et tzara hi liYaakov mimena yivashea. So it quotes a pasuk about tzara. Shehu Shem Elokim Dehin, which is the gematria, the numerical value of Elokim Dehin. V'zeh sod Ben HaMetzarim. And this is the secret of Ben HaMetzarim. This is the secret of the 3 weeks. What does that mean? What's the secret here? Ki man Hashem nizkar shehu din, this name that is din, which is Elokim. Elokim is considered din, the judgment aspect, the aspect of judgment of the Creator. Yotzet biyamim ha'elu hatzarot. From this name of judgment comes all the tzarot, comes all the sorrow and pain from this from these days. This is when it comes out. These 3 weeks is what it's very sensitive time, and what he's saying is that the Elokim De'ehin, it's sort of activated during this time, and the judgment is sort of increased. Chas v'shalom, we don't want judgment on us. Gam tosif shem adni im retzeh shel Elokim haniskar. So now if you take Elokim and you add another name, which is also an aspect of judgment, it's adni, Aleph, Dalid, Nun, and Yud. If you take these two names together, what do you get? What's the numerical value? Well, Elokim Behehin is, the numerical value is 295, and then you take Adni, which is 65, and you get in the end 360. Now 360 is also the numerical value of the 3 names that we collected in the beginning of the Amidah, of the Tefillah, of the prayer. So now what are we doing? What do we see here? So once we meditate on these 3 names, coming with this judgment, what's happening? The Arizal explains, the Ari explains, these 2 names, Elokim and Adni, the 2 names that bring the judgment, that bring the sorrow, that bring the tzara, which is why he says it's Ben HaMetzarim, between the 2 narrow places, between the narrowness. Bet Mitzarim ha'olim begemat rashin. These 2 things that create sorrow, that create tzara, these become the numerical value of shin. Yitmetku al yedei gimel hashemot harishonim. These names will become sweetened. We will sweeten the judgment during these 3 weeks by taking the 3 names we had before. How will we do that? Once we take these 3 names and put them with the 2 names of judgment, we get the same numerical value. And with that, we can sweeten the judgment and make sure none of the judgment comes on us and on others. שנתכוונות בהם בג' ברכות הראשונות, with the 3 first blessings. והם ת' ד' ה' ד' כ' ו' ז' ו' מ' צ' פ' צ' העולים בגמטריה שין, כנזכר, שין י' נ', which is 360. ועל ידי כן אותיות צרה יתהפכו לרחמים. That's how we can change the word tzara, the word sorrow, the word pain, into retzeh, retzeh Hashem Elokeinu. And so that's how we can think about meditating to switch our judgment into mercy, to sweeten the judgment during these 3 weeks. It's a very, very sensitive time. One last thing that he says, at the end of the Amidah, in the Baracha of Sim Shalom. Sim Shalom, you take the first 2 letters. You have Sin and Shin, which are the same numerical value, so you take Shin and Shin. Where else do we see Shin and Shin? The 3 names and the 2 names of judgment. The 3 names from the beginning of the prayer and the 2 names of judgment. So we see the Shin and Shin. Once we take the 2 Shins together, we have the sweetening of the judgment. וברכת שים שלום באותם בית שינין שבראשי תיבות של שים שלום תגוון אל בית השינין הנזכר למעלה גם התיבות עצמם של שים שלום. Now the letters of sim shalom itself, the words sim shalom, שניהם יחד עולות בגמטריה שין שין. They both add up to shin and shin. Shin yud nun, which is like we said before. But then there's a missing vav. There's a vav there. So what does the vav correspond to? Keneged vav eshemot hanizkarot, which is yud ke vav ke, ted daled hey daled, kav vav zayin vav, mem tzadik pe tzadik, plus the 2 names of judgment. And with that, you can sweeten the judgment of the 3 weeks. And that's what we want to meditate on during this prayer in Amidah, in the Shemona Esrei, during the most elevated time of the prayer. One last thing, I don't remember exactly where I heard it from, but I heard that there's 21 days during 3 weeks. And when we, in the course of the year, we have 21 days that are considered holy and elevated. We have 7 days for Pesach, 7 days for Sukkot, that's 14, plus 1 day is Shmini Atzeret. We have Shavuot. So what are we at? 16, right? What am I missing? Rosh Hashanah, so that's 17 and 18. Yom Kippur is 19, and then we have Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh, which is 21. And so when we go each day of this whole 21 days, we can meditate on every single holy day that we're going to have this year, and meditate that everything will be good, everything will be sweetened, and it won't be in the aspect of judgment. So that's what we want to meditate on these 3 weeks, and thank you for listening.